We had another event in the municipal auditorium, part of the Parsons Area Concert Association, and for those of you that don't know, they do use the auditorium for those events, and they do have quarterly events. This was just one called Audio Body, kind of an interesting one. And then moving on in March, we recognized the Parsons High School Automotive Program for their national competition success, and we like to celebrate the vocational opportunities that our school districts do offer. Following in March, Parsons Fire, along with, I believe, Task Force 4, and Jay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, hosted a statewide search and rescue team structural collapse training at Cardinal Hall. And I think the interesting thing to point out on this is we do not own Cardinal Hall. This was an agreement with the current property owner to actually go in and do training on the fire damage structure. So it gave a great opportunity for them to be able to use some structures here in Parsons to bring folks from across the state. In March, we also saw the retirement. We've had several retirements over the past year and several departures, so I wanted to celebrate the success of our Battalion Chief, Brett Hetty. He served the city for 32 years and retired in March. And he was replaced by Brad Voss, who is our current one of the 3 battalion chiefs. So, following that, 2014 marked the 25th year for Parsons earning the Tree City USA designation. And you have to commend the volunteers both within the city Parks and Public Works Department and with the Arboretum for all of the hours that they put in to make our community parks and our Tree City USA designation very important to the city. Following that in April, we partnered with the Chamber of Commerce and Downtown Parsons to actually clean up the downtown area with high school students. And this is something that, even though Downtown Parsons has merged with the Chamber of Commerce, they are planning to continue working with the school district to do community cleanup days. Followed by that, contractors worked to install the water loop along 31st Street, and that project took a little while. It came at a cost of almost $500,000 to Parsons residents. This is just kind of a picture of them as they're crossing, I believe that is Appleton, I think, near the high school. And following that, in May of 2014, contractors finished the last part of the reconstruction of 13th Street, which was installing the sod for all of the final groundwork to complete the 13th Street rehabilitation project. Also in May, and this is something that many folks probably don't know, that several city departments participated with Parsons High School and Parsons Middle School Job Shadow Day. And here, Danny Cagle, one of our fire captains, shows off one of the trucks. We also had some folks here in the administration building and several other areas. And we do this with the youth, trying to give them an idea of what opportunities exist within city government. Following that, in May, Public Works prepared for the Winway Ballpark Fields fencing project, which was a pretty large project, including signage, rehabbing the fields, and running new electric. This project cost close to about $100,000. It was around $98,000. I know the PowerPoint says 90, but it was a little over 98. That particular project was funded through the park sales tax fund. In May, we hosted a volunteer e-waste collection, and this is, for those of you that have never been to an e-waste collection, people bring old electronics that don't work or want to be recycled and actually drop off, and they drop off donations as well. The project costs about $1,500, and it has solely been funded in the past by donations from both businesses, individuals, and some smaller grant opportunities that we received. As you can tell, we had quite a line. The grant funding has ran out for this particular project, and the core group, including the Lifespan Institute, K-State's Wildcat Extension District, the City of Parsons, Higher Calling Technology, and several other partners are trying to brainstorm how can we continue this project without cost to the taxpayers. Also in May, a celebration for the Parsons Farmers Market. They were able to join the Central Farmers Market registration from the Kansas Department of Ag, and it's called From the Land of Kansas program. And our farmers market is now recognized as Kansas producers producing local products for sale. So we hope to get started again in April with the market. We'd be remiss if we didn't go through May and not thank Debbie for all of her hard work to the city of Parsons. This year, actually in 2014, she celebrated 40 years of service to our community, so we had to celebrate with a little cake. And then in May, we also had the first Welcome to Parsons sign installed with the help of SI and collaboration with Tourism and Economic Development. This particular project cost $7,500, and it was paid for through tourism funds. And I'm not sure if Economic Development chipped in with that or not.
We partnered on that.
So that particular partner project was the first of several to come. I know they're looking at sites for the next ones. Following that, tourism had a pretty big May last year, and we hosted the Kansas Outdoor Writers Association meeting. We kicked off the media day for the U.S. Sporting Clays Open, which drew more than 2,000 people to Claythorne Lodge, just outside of Labette County. And that is a direct partnership with the Crawford County Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Columbus Chamber of Commerce, and Labette County Tourism. But it was a pretty neat deal, and if you missed it last year, you're going to have an opportunity to see a piece of it come back this summer as they host the regional U.S. Sporting Clays Open, and I'm sure Labette County Tourism will be involved in that as well. They had hotels booked from here to Joplin, and so it was a pretty big event. We celebrate the success of new businesses coming into town as well, and this is the ribbon cutting for the To the Nines boutique in downtown Parsons. May was a pretty busy month. Parsons High School students actually did a community service project that made an impact across parks in the community, and as you can tell, the bicycle racks that were placed in the parks were designed, constructed, and installed by students and teachers from the school system. And you'll see the different places where they've had them, and they've been a great addition. Following that, in June, the City Commission and staff toured TM Track's plant in Parsons just to check out the changes that have happened since the company has actually started in Parsons, and to take a look at the entity. If you haven't had the opportunity to tour TM Track, it is a pretty neat deal. Throughout the year, we have volunteers through Operation Bright Touch that help weed our flower beds and help beautify our community. This particular flower bed was one that sits right out here at the corner that had not been adopted, and volunteers came in June and adopted it and brought it back to life. I will say, number one, thank you to all the volunteers who volunteered through the program, and number two, in 2015, we are currently looking for someone to take the lead in Operation Bright Touch to help manage the flower beds throughout the community. Following that, in June, city staff and business owners and KDOT officials participated in the Geometric Improvement Grant site visit. We've actually submitted a grant to KDOT for improvements at US 59 and Union Road to handle the traffic. And we actually took them out to the site, they watched the traffic. Daryl, did you know when they plan to announce that particular grant?
No, it shouldn't be based on that.
So hopefully we'll hear something one way or another. But we're always looking at ways to fund improvements at minimal cost to the taxpayers. The next thing we had in June was, for the first time in quite a long time, we presented a key to the city to Annette Tucker from KLKC. Annette has served both city government and the radio station for years as our news correspondent and has been an active part of the community. And although she's not fully retired, we're still working with her on a weekly basis at the radio station. We did reward her for all of her efforts in June. And following that, celebrating another success, the Parsons Community Garden started several years ago as a grant project with the help of the Assistive Technology Program out at the Community Lifespan Institute. And today, even though the grant funding has gone away, they've continued to manage the program and actually grow, no pun intended, the community gardens. So we have, we donated city lots for them to repurpose, and we do provide the water for the community gardens to help give a place to grow fresh produce for those who are interested. And they are actually self-funded, they do charge for lots. if you want to come in and garden, then you have the opportunity to rent a space. So that's where they generate their funds. In June, we also brought in 2 new Chevy Tahoes as part of the police department. And in addition, in July, economic development signs marketing both the spec building and several industrial park spaces have been installed. So if you're driving out north, you'll probably see several of them offering, manufacturing opportunities, talking about the fact that they're ready to go, already zoned, have the utilities run to them. This is just an example of ways to get our information out there. Public Works spent a lot of the summer painting crosswalks, painting curbs and painting parking spaces throughout the city. And I caught them the day they were painting, and they kind of yelled at me for coming out to take a picture of them painting because they didn't want their picture taken. They just wanted to do their job. But you've got to commend the crew because they did a fantastic job this year. In July, the Southeast Kansas Homeland Security Region hosted a statewide hazmat training, and the City of Parsons and the Parsons Fire Department and hazmat crew also partnered with Great Plains Industrial Park. And for those who didn't get to check out the opportunity because it was an emergency responder training, it really was interesting, and it's pretty scary to see the guys come out in Tyvek suits and do the things they need to do to keep us safe. So I have to thank the fire department for being a part of the regional hazmat team. In July, at the end of July every year, we always celebrate the Americans with Disabilities Act, and I believe the mayor presented the proclamation this year. It was a great crowd of people, and it brings a lot of people to downtown Parsons for the day. We also had the Parsons Paint Project, where volunteers came in from all over the country, and I believe Canada this year, to help paint some of our houses that needed a little extra help. I don't have the list exactly of how many they painted, but Doug gave that presentation early on, and it made a huge difference in Parsons. August, we celebrated Grandview Products expanding their facility, and the production actually started this fall. What that meant was, number one, new construction in industry here in Parsons, and it also meant the addition of jobs. And for that, we have to thank all of our local manufacturers because they keep investing in our community. In August, we received $12,000 from the Union Pacific Railroad Community Foundation to help the city complete the purchase of the holiday decorations downtown. That particular project, I believe $12,000 was about half of that project. And Martha, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it helped purchase the rest of the snowflakes, the wreaths, and some of the other decorations here downtown. In August, we were also awarded the Kansas Arts and Industries Commission grant, and that was an economic development grant for Parsons to the tune of $34,000. And what it is actually doing, and here we've got the Arts and Humanities Council, we have our Public Works Supervisor Jack Thompson and Durham Ware, and Kansas artist Stan Hurd. If you haven't heard, Stan is actually doing a sculpture project that will be out of limestone that will create a giant Indian head and then followed by a turtle, which is significant to the area. This particular project is part of a Department of Commerce grant that trickled down formerly of the Kansas Arts Commission. We hope by June that the first art display will be under construction out at the park. It's currently being sculpted, and they're going to bring it in and actually set it at the park sometime this summer, and then construction will end this fall on the second project. I have to say, this particular project, other than the in-kind service that the city's provided and grant administration, the balance of this has been paid for by donations from individuals who are interested in arts in Parsons, the grant, and with help from the Community Foundation. Just kind of moving on, the city and CDL Electric were doing kind of a pilot project with LED streetlights, looking at the brightness and efficiency and testing to see what's suitable for streetlights and what aren't here in Parsons. And Daryl, correct me if I'm wrong, but several of the LEDs have been installed in the decorative post downtown as well as a test. Three. So it's just one way to try and save energy and look at more efficiency and hopefully save money as we move forward in replacing streetlights. Another interesting thing that a lot of people really didn't know, Parsons Fire Department in September started selling T-shirts, and this I believe was the third year for the Relay for Life fundraiser. And they did that in honor of a former city employee who lost her battle with breast cancer. And we sold T-shirts through the month of September and October. The guys at the fire department actually wore the T-shirts as the uniform for the month of October in support. And this year we raised $650 for Relay for Life. I know over the past 3 years we've probably raised close to $2,000 with T-shirt sales, and it's a program that we intend to continue. Another interesting program that happened in September, the Lebec County Substance Abuse Task Force and Parsons Police Department had a youth night to combat underage drinking, to talk about bullying, to learn about cyber crimes and texting and driving. And this was all paid for through a small state grant that we received. But this particular photo is the Don't Text and Drive bus that the Cherokee County Sheriff's Department brought over. It allows students to sit behind the wheel and actually video simulate texting and driving. They're texting on their phone while they're trying to drive, and it's really an interesting and eye-opening experience, and we hope that more kids actually get to be able to participate in that. In September, we celebrated the retirement of Police Chief Scott Goforth, and we thanked him with a public reception for his service to the community. And then shortly thereafter, we also thanked Larry Stevie for his retirement, or for his service to the city, and celebrated his retirement as well. In September of 2014, Debbie was named interim city manager, and you all know that. We also attended the League of Municipalities in October, where she received her 40-year employee recognition. She was one of less than 12 across the state who has been employed for over 40 years in civic leadership positions. In September, the Forest Park bathroom project was close to completion. It was about a $212,000 project. And we followed that with September, the start of the KDOT Clink project on US 59. And here they were laying asphalt in the south end of town. This particular project cost about $750,000, to give you an idea of how expensive road projects can be. In September, another bathroom project, which we talked about tonight, the Glenwood project. The improvement project was paid by the park sales tax, and it was an estimated cost of about $40,000. And that particular project is complete. So this was kind of midway. Something you don't see every day, and it was really kind of interesting, the traveler curtain at the Municipal Auditorium was replaced. And quite an interesting task. It's way, way high and lots of hooks, and the curtain itself weighs several hundred pounds. So it was kind of an interesting process to see that the old curtain had served the auditorium since it was rehabbed back, I believe, in the early 90s, from what they were saying. And the curtain that came down was actually donated to a local theater group who was going to repurpose it for props. So we're always looking at ways to help individuals and groups in the community as well. The next thing in October, and probably something that we've heard the most comments on in the last few months, is the reconstruction of the US 59 Clink project on the north end of town out by Stockyards Travel Plaza. That particular project was a $905,000 project, and if you ask community members, a lot of people will say that's the best project we've done in years. We've probably heard more about that particular project than we have all of the other projects in 14 combined. In October, we moved the Balloons, Blues, and Barbecue event to the Walmart outlots, and it was estimated there were probably between 1,500 and 2,000 people that viewed the glow. It actually allowed folks who weren't able to walk Tolan Creek Park and walk the trails to actually get out and enjoy the balloons. So that's something that we're going to look at doing again this year. And following that, as you know, we ordered 2 new fire trucks, and this is a view from atop the platform, and I thought it was just an interesting perspective. And this was the factory test before it actually came to Parsons. In November, our new website from Civic Plus was launched. Our online payments began, and we're still working and adding things to the website, and hopefully we will get more and more use out of it. Also in November, as